Hi, this is Rick Horton, and this is my tort liability presentation. What is tort liability? Tort law is a body of law which covers violations where one's personal behavior causes injury, suffering, unfair loss, harm to another person. This is a broad category of law that can include many different types of personal injury claims. Tort laws serve two basic general purposes: to compensate the victim for any losses caused by the defendant's violations, and to discourage the defendant from repeating this violation in the future. How our tort laws are classified. There's intentional torts, like that's going to be like assault, battery. There's unintentional torts, that's going to be like negligence in a slip and fall case. Or there's also like strict liability torts, such as those involving unhazardous materials that are dangerous and in and of themselves. Torts are categories under civil law rather than criminal law. This means that some torts may involve conduct that is not necessarily illegal, but it's harmful to another person. However, some tort cases can overlap and involve the criminal cases. That's going to be like assault and battery. Some examples of tort: negligence, civil assault, civil battery, wrongful death claims, trespassing, products liability and dangerous products, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Tort cases that have occurred in schools: Mitchell versus the Cedar Rapids Community School District. Mitchell versus Cedar Rapids. Basically what happened is a mother of a special education student sued the school district for damages that the student sustained in after-hours off-campus sexual assault by another student. This was an IEP student. She was almost in full-time adult care, and basically she skipped a class, met up with somebody. She was raped, and um, the mother was suing the school district to see if they're liable. At my school, attendance is taken online. If a student has an unexcused absence, it's reported this way. When the teacher sees an unexcused absence, they are to notify the building principal, who looks into the location of the student. Prevention. We try to be tough on our students who have unexcused absences and notify their parents when this happens. You have to continue to be tough on students who skip class without parents' knowledge. If you don't, this is when some type of lawsuit is going to happen. That's when fights happen at school. That's when these sexual assaults are going to happen, when we don't know where students are. Professional ethics. As a school, we must know where our students are. This case involved a special education student with a very low IQ. The student was rarely without adult supervision. As soon as the student's whereabouts became unknown, the administration and the parents should have been notified. School cameras also could have been used to review to see if they saw when the student left and who they left the building with. Johnson versus School District of Millard. A first grader at Willow Elementary School was injured while attending his music class. The student had received 50 stitches they had in an accident during an activity with the song London Bridge is Falling Down. At my school, the student would have been taken to the school nurse and administration would have been notified. Parents would have also been notified. At my school, the teacher also would have had to fill out an accident form, which would detail the accident, where the accident happened, the activities students were doing, what the injury was, where the student was injured, detail the activities students were doing when the student was injured, and where the teacher was or the staff member was supervising the students when the injury occurred. Prevention. The teacher should have went over the dangers of the surroundings of the classroom. In this one, the student hit their head on a bookcase. The teacher should have told the students, hey, watch out for the bookcase when we're doing it. And the teacher also should have been paying attention to help redirect the students when they're getting too close to the bookcase. Also in this case, it was found that the teacher was not watching the students when the accident happened. They were off being unattentive. The teacher should have been supervising the students and redirected them when the activity became unsafe. Professional ethics. As teachers, we need to make sure students are supervised at all times. We also need to go over safety procedures with our students when doing any activity. And this is something that keeps going on and on and on with a lot of these different court cases. None of these things would have happened if the teachers just would have been attentive to the students. This is why it's so important that we just, as teachers, that we supervise our students, and as administrators, if we see teachers that aren't supervising their students, we really need to make sure that this gets done. Bratchek versus Millard School District. Darlene Bratchek brought a wrongful death accusation against the defendant school district after her son David died during an accident during a physical education class. David was a ninth grade student, 14 years of age. He was injured on April 3rd, 1974 during a physical education class where he was struck in the head by a golf club by a fellow student. At my school, the school nurse would have been contacted and the administration would have been notified. Since the student was unconscious, EMS would have been called. Parents would have also been notified. At my school, the teacher also would have had to fill out an accident form, which would detail where the accident happened, the activity the students were doing, what the injury was, where the student was injured, detail the activity the students were doing when the student was injured, and where the teacher staff member was supervising the students that was injured. Prevention. Teachers should have also went over the dangers of the surroundings in the classroom. Again, if you, in this case, I think there was 56 kids in the class. If you have 56 kids swinging golf clubs, you really need to talk to the kids about just understanding their surroundings. Don't go out in front of somebody when they're swinging the golf club, and just the importance of knowing where your other classmates are when you're swinging a golf club. Also in this class, it was found that the teacher was not watching the entire class. She was helping one student when the accident came, so all of her focus was on one student. And that's understandable because she wants that student to enjoy the activity, but when you have that many kids, they've got to be watching both. The teacher should have been supervising all the students and redirect them when the activity became unsafe. Prevention. There's also the issue of too many students and not enough supervision. There was 56 students hitting golf balls and only 2 teachers. One of them was a student teacher and one was a regular teacher. So at some point when they've done this activity in class, there would have been 56 students and just the one teacher before the student teacher got there. I know it's something we do in PE classes a lot, but when we're doing activities like this, it's imperative that we have enough people there to watch and make sure these injuries don't happen. Professional ethics. As teachers, we need to make sure that our students are supervised at all times. We also need to go over safety procedures with our students when they're doing the activity. Rollins versus the Concordia Parish School Board. In this case, on March 2nd, 1982, Lisa Rollins, a 9-year-old fourth grade student, fractured her leg when she fell off a merry-go-round during a physical education class on the school grounds. In this class, what happened is the girls were playing on the playground equipment. The boys were playing basketball on a basketball court. There's about 20 feet separated into, I believe. The substitute teacher was worried about how fast the merry-go-round was going. She told the girls to slow down and to be careful. But then an argument broke out on the basketball court, so she walked over to the basketball court to try to help out with the argument. When in fact, as soon as she saw that the merry-go-round became unsafe, she should have stayed there until the merry-go-round stopped and then went over to the argument. At my school, the school nurse would have been contacted and the administration would have been notified. Since the student had a broken leg, EMS would have been called. Parents would have also been notified. Prevention. The teacher should have went over the dangers of the surroundings on the playground. Again, at some point, the teacher should have went over playground rules with the merry-go-round. Also, in this case, it's found the teacher was not watching the entire class because they were split into 2 different areas. If there's only one teacher, it's hard to watch 2 different areas of a playground and be sure it stays safe. There are 40 students and only one teacher out there during this whole situation. The teacher should have been supervising the students and redirecting them when the activity became unsafe. And she tried to do that. She told them the merry-go-round wasn't safe anymore and to slow down, but she did not stay over there to make sure that the girls followed through with her commands. Professional ethics. As teachers, we need to make sure our students are supervised at all times. We also need to go over the safety procedures of the students that are doing the activity. Hall v. Jones. In this one, a fight breaks out between 2 teenage boys engaged in a game of basketball in middle school physical education class. The mother of one of the boys sued the PE teacher because he was not supervising the class at the time of the fight. One of the kids in this court case felt the other kid was guarding him too hard, shoved him. The kid that got shoved came back and punched the other kid in the face, and then another shove. Students actually separated the fight, but then another student shoved one of the people back into him, and the fight got worse. And they said that while this was going on, the PE teacher wasn't paying attention to the boys. He was on the other side of the basketball court down there just talking to the girls' PE teacher instead of watching his class. At my school, the students would have been taken to the office and a report would have been given to the administration. Both sets of parents would have been contacted. If either student was injured, the school nurse would have assessed the injuries. The accident form would have also needed to be completed if there was an injury. Anytime a fight breaks out like this, some type of discipline would happen, whether it's an in-school suspension or an out-of-school suspension, depending on if punches would have been thrown. and the how bad the fight was. Prevention. This could have been prevented if the teacher was present supervising the activities. If the teacher was on his side of the court, not over there talking to the other teacher, this wouldn't have happened. Teachers need to be supervising their students and de-escalating students when they become aggressive towards other students. Teachers need to make sure that our students are supervised at all times. These are the resources I used. Most of them are just from the court cases I found. And I hope this helps everybody understand a little bit more about tort laws. Thank you.